And that is
Yeah.
effectively how we've gone from, you know, a 6-digit business to a 7-digit business. It's literally, once the machine is working, you just feed the beast. You just keep feeding the beast. TK, I would say, because it's changed the way we think, that's probably the totally unexpected part of this. That is the unexpected part. The unexpected part is we think differently. We think in terms of our ICP. We're not chasing, you know, we're just not chasing our tail. But I think culturally we're osmosed into something I never thought we would be, and that has been, you know, the unintended outcome of this thing, of what we started with you. I think I mean, I've kind of alluded to as well, is like, I thought, oh, you know what, I'll pay my money, take my chances, do this thing. I didn't realize how much it would change me, knowing that in the group, there are other people in the same position or in a worse position or a better position. And it's probably the intangibles have actually more valuable than the tangibles. If I was to
Right.
honestly turn back, because I did not know how much I would grow as a person, how my relationships would build in the group, how the team would respond to it as well, because the team's growing as
Right.
well. And, you know, you can spend all this
Yeah.
money on team building exercise, going bowling or going golfing or stuff like that, but it's never really underpinned by scaling the business, because ultimately that's what people want to do. For what it's worth, TK, I've told you, it's very hard for me to respect and listen to a man who says he's 40 but looks 28. But
39, 39.
39, you know, but your depth of knowledge kind of moves mountains, and you know, and you know, it's just been so fortuitous, so lucky. I don't know how our paths have finally crossed, but you know, we wouldn't do what we do without that kind of structure that you give us, and the depth and sincerity of what you provide us. And what really blows me away is whenever we go on these weekly chats and we ask questions, which we sent before, you've really, really done all the homework. And that always staggers me. It's not, you know, off the seat of your pants. You know, you've really come up and you've really thought about, you know, the problems we guys are facing, which kind of adds, I mean, the kind of credibility that adds, TK, is absolutely, you know, monumental.
As part of our 10-part series of SaaS and Scotch, in this episode, I'm doing this episode together with my friend and fellow founder, Paul Das. Paul Das is founder and CEO of ProFundCom. ProFundCom is a marketing automation offering in the hyper-competitive space of financial services within MarTech, which is crazy. However, since joining the program, they've doubled their revenues. They broke through the 1 million ARR barrier. They've gone through an entire transformation from being on-prem to being a true SaaS offering, financial services. They had to do that in the beginning. In this episode, we're gonna dig into the key principles that Paul has learned in his founder journey. It is one of my most favorite episodes I've done. It is so in-depth, it's so exciting. Paul has a wealth of knowledge and experience in SaaS and in the financial services industry, and he's learned so much in applying all the principles that we teach inside of the Go-to-Market program and on this channel. So it's been totally awesome to finally have him on and actually do this together. Here are some things, some key principles that you can look forward to in this episode that Paul and I are doing together. Number one, we're gonna dig into ProFundCom and how it came to be. This is super interesting because marketing automation obviously is a very crowded space, but they were able to actually figure out how to win in that space for a very specific ICP. So we'll be talking about that. Two, we're gonna be doubling down on how the riches truly are in the niches. This is something that Paul really believes in as well. They really embraced the ICP, Ideal Customer Profile Framework, and how it really helped them drive their growth. Three, he talks about this thing, and I really liked it, and I think you'll get value from it also, is founders, that's all of us, you know, all of us founders that we work together, we're all fellow founders, we find ways to lie to ourselves when there's an inconvenient truth. And so he talks about how that can happen and how to actually break through it, especially something that's required to actually grow and get to that next stage of growth. Actually stopping lying to ourselves on inconvenient truths. Fourth thing that he talks about, and like we got an in-depth discussion about it, is SaaS growth levers. Growth levers are these concepts, they're key growth levers that exist in every SaaS business. And this is something I go in depth into when I work with founders like Paul. And so he talks about the value he got in thinking in terms of SaaS growth levers. He also goes into what was his biggest growth lever, the growth lever that completely changed the game for ProFundCom as he's worked with me to actually drive growth for his company. And lastly, one thing he talks about that really rang true to me, because I've seen it in my team, is what was the one thing that truly instilled confidence in the team, in his team, to actually drive for this next stage of growth. He's taken this company through this whole transformation, so he talks about what really drove alignment and confidence for the team. I'm super excited about this episode of Sass and Scotch. I hope you enjoy too. I'm gonna cut to Paul and we're gonna dig right into it. And also in the end, I'll have a special message for you, so be sure to watch till the end. And I know that when you watch this episode, you too will be able to accelerate your growth of your SaaS business. So let's dig right into it. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster. Now, every single Sunday, I drop an episode where I bring you actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. Because of the success of our go-to-market coaching programs, I've now added a Thursday episode where I bring on a founder that I've been working with together, and we give you the principles that that founder has learned in growing their SaaS company. So that's what today is. That's what this episode is. I'm so excited about it. If you are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode, whether it's just me giving you actionable tactics and strategies from the trenches or with another founder who has successfully grown their company. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. Now, if you are already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. Let's dig into it and see how Paul has been growing his company.
Oh my God, this is like years in the making. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sass and Scotch. In today's episode, I'm so excited to have my dear friend, and we're like, oh my God, we're Bengali brothers, Paul Das of ProFundCom. Thank you for being here today, Paul.
My absolute pleasure, TK. And we are brothers, but you're not quite a bald brother yet. But you just got to hold on to what you got.
I intend to hold on to what I have for as long as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, when I first met you, you were not the svelte, slimline, lean marketing, go-to-marketing machine that you are now, right?
Yeah, so you and I have known each other long enough where you knew Fat TK, which is like, you're like OG.
Yeah, I mean, I know when you had your six-pack was a can of beer, with beer.
It's
right? True. It's true. So how is your six-pack?
It's coming along. You know, we've got a few more percentages to go but I have until I turn 40. So I've turned 40 in February. And so I have like a few more months. And so we're going to a cutting phase. It's six-pack. This is part of my 6-pack by 40 goal. So for those of
there you go. Unstoppable, right? Unstoppable.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you gotta like lead the movement and like represent it. So I'm all in on that.
No. I'm all in on that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take it from the top. Tell us a little bit. I obviously know, but the audience wants to know. Like, tell us about what you guys do over at ProFundCom. Like, what is a SaaS platform? What do you guys focus on? Let's start there.
Well, it's an accidental SaaS platform. It's an accidental product. So what we do today, and what we started out as are two completely different things, right? So what we do today, we help hedge funds, asset managers, anybody in the finance space use digital marketing to identify, where are the people they need to target to raise assets. So it's a very, very specific thing what we do, but in general, for the kind of IT literate, we are marketing automation for financial companies, okay? And, for a more generic kind of thing, description, we take website data, social marketing data, email engagement data, and surface in that the people that sales teams need to talk to. Okay, and that's kind of what it is. And I think really what the underlying principle of the product is, marketing in any company is always kind of the poorer cousin, the unfavorable child. And I know all about being an unfavorable child in the family. And, marketing has to fight for budget. They're not the rock stars in the company. It's the portfolio managers, it's the hedge fund managers, it's the sales guys who get all the budget. So marketing has a challenge. So what we try and do, we basically try and help marketing teams demonstrate the impact they're having on raising AUM. So that whole market attribution thing, we join all the dots from, when somebody downloads something or comes to an investor meeting or accesses a social media post, all the way to the point that they make an investment. And then we use behavioral analytics to predict what else could they be investing in. So that's kind of what the product does. And it never really was a SaaS journey. 20 years ago, when I was marketing software or marketing hedge funds as a marketeer, the emails had just come out. And we kind of thought, wow, there has to be a more efficient way of talking to people. Because historically, TK, a sales guy comes in, he's got a Rolodex, and if that dates anybody what a Rolodex is, it's a thing that is on a roller and you spin it around, and it's organized A to Z with these things called business cards, right? And business cards are these square things where you have your name and I'm sounding patronizing, but there are people I'm sure.
No, I'm not interrupting. We can't assume. I agree.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so you just spin this round, and whatever name appeared, you kind of gave them a call. And there was really no intelligence to this. And, I kind of worked out, I just started a family. Every time you're traveling to Europe or the US, I just thought, God, there has to be a smarter way to do this. And the guy who ran the sales team said, oh my God, I'm paying all these salespeople so much money. They come with their black books and then they go away with their black books. There's no process, there's no procedure to anything. They're not efficient. So if I can proceduralize how I do my marketing, and if I can find a way to make at least the sales team like 5% more efficient, surely there's some benefit in that. So then I kind of thought about, well, we know who's downloading fact sheets. We know who's accessing emails. Well, let's start there and start to deliver the sales team information on who are the people that are downloading your stuff. And I thought that's a brilliant idea, right? Absolutely brilliant. This is really what people want to know. It's like, yeah, well, I know these people are downloading. I know what people are doing. These are people I talk to all the time. It was like, yeah, man, I just thought I had something really amazing to offer. And, in this concept I created, and nobody was interested. And I think then the secret came in asking good questions. And the question I asked after being heartbroken, whether it's Saturday night or a work day, just being heartbroken, I said, look, what would really make this interesting? And they said, what would make it more interesting? And then they started telling me the kind of behavioral elements behind this. I don't care if people are regularly opening stuff. That's fine, because they're known knowns. I want to know the unknown unknowns. I want to know people that I don't even know about who are engaging with stuff. And then I thought, sure. So then I need to connect the CRM to this. And then they said, I also want to know which investors are looking at things they're not invested in, like the upsell. And I also want to know which investors are not looking at stuff. So I can have an intelligent phone call with them about not taking their money away. And suddenly, even though I thought there was a solution to a problem that actually didn't exist, they're actually sitting underneath this was a real deep question that even they didn't know, but only when they got probed about, they were kind of saying, well, actually, these are the things I need to know about. And then, the marketing team were like really excited, because now they can actually see how they feed into the selling process and kind of made them more valuable. So ultimately, it was totally accidental. It was down to heartbreak and kind of wondering, why do people like this amazing thing that I created? And it was like kind of getting over yourself and kind of saying, okay, what is that one thing I'm solving for these guys? that really makes a difference that nobody else is thinking about. So that was it. And how it became SaaS, I mean, it wasn't called software as a service at the time. It was called a ASP, which is basically client server just sitting on somebody else's software. So that kind of tells you how old the stuff is. But, you know, as time goes on, you know, we sold it as a subscription because Salesforce was doing it at the time. And Salesforce had just kind of had, were 5 years in. So we said, well, you know, if Salesforce are doing it, must be a good idea. So that's kind of how we kind of started, you know, version 1 of SaaS. And obviously working with you, we're kind of SaaS version 3, in as much as there's subscription models, there's upsell models, there's the whole flywheel, you know, and you have to forgive me if I don't remember all the steps, but it's activation. And, you know, the whole activation, understanding what activation means that we can really understand how, you know, where the choke points are to get us from, you know, where we are when we started the program, which was well under $1 million ARR, to something now where we're pushing, you know, more than, you know, 7 figures plus. And that's in the space of, you know, 2 years. And it's like we had all the building blocks in place, but not in the right order. And you know, and the thing is, I always say to you, you know, whenever I introduce myself on our weekly calls or in the group, in our community, I'm just an old dog learning new tricks, right? So that's it, right? And I think that is really kind of how our journey has been. And we started out hosting our own kit, and then we kind of moved to a private cloud, and now we run on AWS. And the great thing with AWS is that if it ever goes down, no one blames us. And I kind of quite like that. I said, look, you can call me or you can call Jeff Bezos, you know, at least I'm returning your calls. So yeah, you know, I think that's a bit of our history. But I think, you know, and this is, I'm not paid to say this, but had we not kind of met up, TK, and I found you in completely non-technical way, right?
That's right.
Because I was on your Unstoppable program to make my life better.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I was struggling with diabetes. I was obese, and I said, look, I've got to find a way to just get myself in shape. And I kind of did the whole Tony Robbins, and nothing really worked. And then what was it? Was it Unstoppable Sundays? Or what was it, T?
Unstoppable Sunday, yeah. And that is the 45-day challenges, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of said, okay, well, he looks, I mean, you had a very kind face, and I thought, you know what, let me give it a shot. And I just thought, wow. And, you know, I'm not on any medication anymore. It was just phenomenal, just kind of following this little program. And I somehow just reached out to you, and I just, look, you know, do you do anything else? And he says, look, I run a go-to-market program for SaaS founders. Well, I said, well, I'm not a founder. I haven't really found it yet, but hey, let's give it a go. And you know, and I think that's kind of how our journey is kind of interlinked with each other, right?
That's exactly right. Like, you were literally like, the message was, hey, I did Unstoppable Sunday and I got rid of diabetes. Like, would love to catch up. And I'm like, that's crazy. So we got on a call, and you happen to be a software founder, and I'm like, or software leader. And I'm like, yeah, we'll do this other thing and you're like, yeah, done. Like, I'm like, I think you were like, he helped me with my diabetes, so he could probably help me with my software company.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things, right? You know, sometimes when you're not looking for something, you start to find something, the universe brings it all together.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm pretty spiritual, but, you know, I like to think good things happen to good people. It just kind of happened, right?
That's right.
And then I found about your background being a, you know, TowTap and Marketo and, you know, your journey about losing so much, you know, just getting into shape. And I thought, you know, hey, why not? And obviously, and the other thing that's really fantastic is all the other guys that we get exposed to in the program, right? I mean, like Scott and Paddy and, you know, guys who are kind of at my stage or slightly ahead or slightly behind, like Saurabh as well, you know, you just really start to think, okay, I'm having a dark day, but kind of everyone else is having that, and they've found ways out, you know, and you know, it's accelerated what we've done and added process to what we do. So in our business now, we all talk the same language. I mean, the sign of a cult is when you have your own language, right? So we constantly use words like, is this person an ideal customer profile? Does this person fit? Yes, they do. Great. They don't. Not worth it. Move on. Do we need to rewrite our product? Because all our tech guys want to rewrite it. No. Do urban renewal. Make it look better. Get the documentation in order. Every developer wants to rewrite. And just stuff like that. Looking for a good legal person. The resources are all there. And it kind of feels, actually, I don't even know what question I'm answering, but all I'm saying is, the journey from floundering as an underachieving software guy to somebody who's just kind of getting their life together, losing a bit of weight, feeling good about themselves, and then kind of building structure around. I mean, ProFundCom is my life's work, and that's the thing. And it's one of those things. There's a quote that you gave me, TK, is that I think we're not afraid of. I can't remember what it is, but we are afraid of what we can be. Do you know the quote?
We're not afraid of our limitations. We're afraid of just how limitless we truly are. It was
correct.
It was when you got the trophy for breaking through $1 million ARR. You got the unstoppable trophy.
Yeah, it is, and it kind of. And there's part of me that's always, I'm kind of okay where I am. I'm not going to kind of do more. I'm not going to do more. And my excuse was I had all the excuses lined up. But, it's one of those things, TK, is we're very good at lying to ourselves. And we're very good to say, I've taken the business to where it needs to get to. It's great, but what could it become? And I want to, it's one of those things. I think, who's that guy who says, get rich or die hard or die trying? He's a rapper, right?
Rapper.
Yeah, he's a rapper. Somebody out there will know it.
Yeah, someone will know it. I should know it if my Googling skills were better. But apparently there's a movie for Get Rich, Die Trying. 50 Cent. 50 Cent.
50 Cent. That kind of makes sense. It's like at the end of the journey, they say in the Bible, it says, I fought the good fight, and I fought the good fight. And our we're not saving the world and bringing, salvation to man. We're just kind of building a SaaS business. I just want to know, I fought the good fight. I did what I had to do. And, this is the outcome from it. And I think the big ego thing to let go of is we all want, we all think, oh yeah, look what I did. I'm the founder. I did it. Ultimately, we work on shoulders of giants, and working with people like yourself who've done this and are exposed to people like yourself and all the guys in the group. It's like on shoulders of giants. They're like, I'm not doing this myself, even though, my ego would say, well, of course you are, Paul. You and Steve Jobs and Musk, you're having dinner together, right? Absolutely not. I think if I look back on, where the business started, where the journey started with SaaS or building the business out, it's more, how much I've changed and in how I kind of see myself versus, a guy just trying to get through paying bills. Now what I say has value and people hold meaning in, the team that I run. So all of a sudden, even though I don't consider what I say important, it has an impact on people. It has an impact when they go home. They'll, there are things that are said that I have to be measured and monitor how I am, which is, and I'm a libertarian, and I'm like, well, I'll just say what the hell I want. Well, you can't, Paul. You've got to grow up. But I am grown up. No, you're not. And there's these things that I didn't want to address, but even through the program, we kind of see that these are things that kind of need to be addressed if you want to get to that level. That's kind of our journey, and it feels like we've just begun.
One of the great things about what you've done, what I've seen you do is, okay, like there was the diabetes, you just crushed with it, Unstoppable Sunday, and just making it a thing. You didn't just do an ICP exercise and a manifesto, but you ran with the manifesto and you turned it into an actual book that you now send to clients. Like you are the authority on how do you actually raise assets through marketing automation in your ICP. And even in the third one, like now you're part of Platinum. I've met some members of your team, like you ran the strategy offsite. You guys are doing the metrics, the quarterly diagnostics, the choke points, like you really internalize these pieces. So maybe tell us a little bit around, like, everyone can do an ICP, everyone can do a manifesto, but for you just always found, like, I'm not just going to do a manifesto, I'm going to turn it into a book. So maybe tell us a little bit around how that's affected Like, how do you think about that? What was it like going through that? And how has that affected your business by taking it that extra mile?
Before that, before meeting you, it was, here's somebody, give us your money. Literally like Bob Geldof on Live Aid. You know, he basically, that famous thing, give us your money. And I was like that, give us your money. And we need this done on the software. We'll do it. These guys have come. We don't know who these guys are. No, don't worry about it. We'll do that. We'll keep doing it. And there was a fantastic energy in spinning around and just spinning around. And at the end of the year, looking at 4 different versions of the product, websites that was not cohesive, you know, sales guys going on tangents, chasing our tails because one person bought our product for this reason and kind of chasing that. And, you know, a CRM that was completely messy, no idea what our pipeline is, no way of saying, here's £10,000, what should we do with it? What's the logical spend for this money? Where is our marketing mix? Where do we start? And because, you know, the thing is, when somebody's really busy, or when an organization is really busy and are almost convinced they're doing the right thing, it's really difficult to say to these guys, stop. Because there's confusion. And you know, we always had this thing, our product's so sophisticated, it's so difficult, it's going to be really difficult to tell you what it does. In that moment, you kind of know the game's up. But obviously, if you're, you know, if you are addicted to that rush, it's like, no, this is keeping us busy. This is keeping us off the streets. And what it was for me, as long as I could demonstrate to my wife, I am busy. Busy means he must be doing something. Right. So, and because I don't understand it, I'll just let him get on with it. And I'll carry on working. If you're working at a checkout, I'll carry on working there and we'll live off that money kind of thing. And I think we got lucky, but we were not at a point where, you know, when we started the program, you said, right, what's your manifesto? Who's your ideal customer?
Right.
It's a very, very basic question, right?
Yeah.
And understanding who our ideal customer was and being able to articulate that. I remember the moment is, TK, you and I went through our customer list.
Yeah.
And on my left-hand side, it said hedge funds. And they all said hedge funds, maybe with one or 2 exceptions. And it was literally like, oh, hedge funds seem to be, and I was just not listening. Because I wanted to go after bigger fish. I wanted to go after big asset managers, BlackRock, JP Morgan, UBS. That's where I wanted to go. But actually, on the left-hand side,
a sizable revenue base. And when you're doing the ICP exercise in our training, like we walk you through, like, hey, let's look at the data also.
Exactly. And it's a little bit like, no, I'm not listening. And then it was like, I don't really want to deal with hedge funds. You know. And it was like, oh, actually, hedge funds are where all our customers come from. And bizarrely, every time we demo to a hedge fund, they absolutely get our product.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's look at the size of hedge fund we deal with. Well, we don't deal with the $1 trillion ones, but there's if you do the, you know, the basic maths that we all ignored at school, mean, median, mode. If you looked at those 3, we found that the mode, which is the most repeating value, where fund managers under 10 billion, but over 200 million. So that all of a sudden, that £10,000 that I need to spend on marketing, that I would just like make it rain on whatever thing I could find, suddenly it became, oh, actually, this is the area that our ICP lives in. Oh, okay. So we found out what they were and what they like to do. And this was probably a 7-day process for me to actually really understand that our website is trying to be all things to all men. And so we said, right, let's narrow down who we're going after, which is terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because it is just, it's counterintuitive, because, you know, you're kind of thinking, well, if this person rings up for us, either we say, look, we're not for you. And then, you know, I was reading Steve Jobs' autobiography, and when he says Apple products are not for everybody, and I just thought, you know what, ProFuncom is not for everybody. And learning that, you know, no is a good answer. like to say, look, no, we're not doing that, is a good answer. And I spoke to a guy called Henrik Blatt, who runs Infinity Capital. And I was just chatting with him. We'd gone skiing, and I just said to him, look, Henrik, you know, he's got a, I mean, he's like a Ray Dalio kind of guy. I says, look, what's the secret to all this? What's the secret? And he said, say no more times than you ever say yes. And I think that's a very, you know, ethereal thing to talk about. But when it's underpinned by what your filter is, it's incredibly powerful. So then, you know, it goes from, we now know who our ICP is. We know what their persona is. We know what colors resonate with them. We know how they like to consume presentations. And these are all micro atomic iterations to make our process that much better. Okay, so there's a reason why we've chosen the colors we choose. There's a reason the language we use is of a certain type. And we've really kind of internalized this. Me internalizing it is one thing. Getting the team to internalize it is completely different. So when I talked to the team about the ICP, it was like, what? No. And then it is taken, I would say, I mean, only now do salespeople tell me, you know what, Paul, they're not our ICP. Or, Paul, we've got to do this. These guys are our ICP. And we now tell customers, look, we have built this product for you. You are what we call our ICP.
Yeah, it's only for you.
Yeah, literally, you know. And the thing is, TK, taking on any education process, taking on any new form, or it's like the dropout rate of things are, people just drop out of stuff, right? And the thing is, when you're doing something, when you're taking something like ProFundCon, which is, I would say everything to me from a work point of view, and probably more. And it's one of those things I feel like I need to get right. There's a lot riding on this, and I think the flip side to this is being able to trust the people you're working with. You see, and the way I kind of build trust in the program, because there were days where, look, TK, I'm thinking, TK, look, you look young, you are young, what do you know? But it's almost like it's that moment where, it's 5 a.m, it's cold, and you've got to go out for your run, and it's like, oh, you know what to do, and it's almost, you've got to get yourself out of yourself. You've got to get out of your own way and turn around and say, that is the trust element in doing this. And knowing that, TK, not everything you've told me has been accurate, and that's fine. And that's fine. Nothing is perfect. And it's kind of understanding is that, the discipline of doing it has, outcomes that you could have never predicted, because you are literally, stage by stage, all the stages actually make logical sense. And if we look back, and you actually look and says, actually, if you looked at the course, the GTM course, the go-to-market course, we may not have done everything in the right order, but we definitely did them. And we learned things that as a package now fits exactly into how we scale what we're doing. And scaling now has become so much easier, because that £10,000 that I would just chuck around and throw around and kind of scratch my head thinking, well, that didn't work. We can now spend £30,000 and know that it will have not just a 1 multiple effect, but a 5 multiple effect. And that is effectively how we've gone from, a 6-digit business to a 7-digit business. It's literally, once the machine is working, you just feed the beast. You just keep feeding the beast. And at times, we correct our ICP, we correct our go-to-marketing. And the interesting thing, and I learned this from the guy, one of the experts you had on, you asked him what things he could have done better. And he said, outbound, doing more outbound. So we do all kinds of outbound. We do now reports targeted at our ICP. We do every quarter. We do a monthly summary of the market. We do a weekly commentary on the market. We do an annual report of all the hedge funds and their marketing. So we do that, and we've kind of transitioned away from this kind of needy, desperate software outfit to a line where we tell people, look, we are a great company, whether you buy our product or not. Our goal is to educate you so you really understand why we are built for you and why we don't go after other people. So, and now it is like, you know, my team really look forward to our quarterly calls, because now that they're kind of doing all the modeling, it's a little bit like, well, we're going to the source, and the source is kind of saying, well, guys, here is your data, because we've been collecting lots of data. Here are visually what the things you need to be working on. You know, when you are in chaos, you're doing lots of things really badly. In this case, I always tell people, we're doing one thing, we're still doing it badly, but at least we know there's a process behind it. And the great thing is that you know, it breeds its own success. And then from there, what we're finding out is that, you know, there are micro go-to-market programs within our go-to-market program. So there are webinars, there are events we're running, and they almost have their own, like, who is the ICP we want to target in New York? And the interesting thing is, TK, is when we started our program with you, we had one customer in New York. I have now just come back from New York, where half our business now comes from New York. And that came about by the whole referrals thing that you talk about at the very last part, you know, because it's almost like, oh, you know, nobody's going to ever refer us, because, you know, all hedge funds are competing. But the interesting things are, hedge funds don't compete because they all run on slightly different strategies. Again, something I never knew. So it's almost like we tell people, if you've got a friend in a hedge fund that uses a different strategy to you, hey, let us know. And, you know, and that has been really interesting. And also the thing that we talk about a lot is the actuation, where somebody goes from just downloading something to actually becoming a customer, really understanding what the steps are. And that's really where the knowledge comes in, because that's where we've done a training course now, where people who've got no idea what we talk about can basically log on to a teachable thing where we guide them through all the tools and bits and bobs they need to be a successful digital marketer, not really talking about what we do. It's just the skills they need. It's undistinguishable now what is the pre-go-to-market we do and the scalable go-to-market we do now, because it's kind of the thing we do. And, you know, I'm sure you see that, you know, I and the other guys dip in and dip out of the program just to kind of refresh ourselves and find out, ooh, something new has come along. Let's have a look at that. Okay, that applies to us or it doesn't. It's because the resources are always there, always available as well online, that, you know, we do every 90 days, we just do a little benchmark to say, okay, what things do we think we've slacked on? What things have we not slacked on? And really just pulling out the choke points. And that's the thing. And I have a whiteboard and it's called TK choke points. And we basically list, if you have a fantastic list of things and you've got to sell that, you know, you need to sell that by itself. But what are your SaaS choke points? And they're 21.
27.
We've gone through each one of those and we are now at 4 choke points left. But guess what? Another 2 suddenly appear. It's like a snake's head. So you've got to slay those dragons as well. And that is like, again, almost, you know, I would almost say, what would I tell my son? And I would just say to him, you know, find your ideal customer, build a go-to-market strategy, and here are the 21 choke points you need to worry about just to get things, you know, just to get your business to work. And that in itself kind of encapsulates how we internalize kind of the go-to-market program. And the more I talk to people about it, I mean, I've told people things like, look, here's how you manage diabetes. This is the things you need to do. Here's a go-to-market program. Here are the things you need to do. Because like Indians and potatoes, we're everywhere, right? And, you know, Indians and software,
and SaaS,
we're everywhere, right? And SaaS, we're everywhere. And Indians and diabetes, we're everywhere. And the thing about it is that, but we just don't listen. People just don't listen. I said, look, guys, this is proof. This is proof that this system I use works. Here is proof that this go-to-market, but the people are like me, just get resistant. And I will just carry on, you know, Frank Sinatra style, right? I'm going to do it my way. Well, buddy, keep carrying on, because somebody somewhere is, mean and hungry and enlightened enough to say, let me just ask for help. So
when I think about all the things that we've talked about, you've done all the core components. You revamped your ICP, you up-level your manifesto, you run the Broadway show, you guys do the quarterly diagnostics and the metrics, you iterate, you held the strategy offsite, you revamped your pricing. I remember that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Levers,
baby, levers. How many levers?
Yeah.
I never knew. I could never think in levers. Now I just think, oh, that's okay. We'll pull that lever back, but here's this lever goes up, this lever. Oh my goodness. How cool is that?
It's crazy because you've done all these pieces and you really, kudos to you and your team. I'm not surprised by your growth. The kudos to you and your team for doing all these pieces. Which one of those, if any, was the scariest to do? But when you're not looking back, you're like, oh my God, that was no brainer.
Price.
Okay, tell us more about that.
Price. Yeah, because it's the sacred cow, right? And it was almost like, you know what? No one's objecting. That's cool. That's cool. No one's objecting, because it's hard enough getting these guys on the hook, right?
Yeah.
It's hard enough. And I remember saying, oh, we don't get any pushback on price. And so I'm going to charge more. And I could just feel like I'm getting hot and sweaty, and that's a difficult conversation. And so we upped our price from 375 to 575, and no big move. Oh, that's interesting. But I think we have to get confident, and this is quite an interesting point, because we knew how much our product was stuck together with glue and sticky tape and blue tack. We went confident in the product, and it showed in the business.
Yeah.
And then, we did this thing where, we basically stopped taking on random requests and really built out the core of the product, and the support call went down to a minimum, and you could feel the confidence in the product. And then you kind of felt that tied in to saying, you know what, this is a great bit of kit, and this is the price. And when you kind of move into this is the price, as opposed to, well, here is the price, we hope you don't find it breaks. It's that confidence. It is that confidence. And I think, and now
it's a swagger when you're giving the price.
You get swagger. And there's a guy from London Business School, and he does these talks online, and he said the number one thing he found in businesses that grew, scaled up, is the people in the business had more confidence in their products. And I think that really helps. And even now our sales guys are like, you may not buy our product now, but you will buy it in time.
Yeah, dollars come back. That's right.
Yeah. And it's great. And the other thing we did, look, we've been in business 20 years. So we've lost customers too. And we've lost customers because, and then customer success program, managing churn. That's another awesome nugget. That is, again, if my son said, I'm starting a SaaS business, I said, stop, get a good lawyer and get a good customer success person. Because, our whole customer success thing, once people bought the product, good luck on you. But now that's like a whole new dimension to our business. And we right now, this year, have done more in revenue with customers than new business. And that is just kudos to just that, that thing we were talking about. And I think you had a great guy who used to work with you who did a YouTube video on customer success and all that stuff. And the crazy thing is, customers need us to succeed. They want us to succeed, you see, and that's kind of a crazy thing, right? Because, I know customers do moan about things, but ultimately we need them to succeed and they need us to succeed. So that again was a kind of another great outcome from kind of doing, the whole go-to-market, the Platinum program as well, because it's one thing that is just so easy to ignore, but has been an absolute goldmine from, for the business.
for you guys, you obviously joined at that time. You're like, okay, sales and marketing, go to market. Like, we want to do this. Were there anything out of the program that you got that was unexpected that you're like, I didn't expect to get that out of the program, but that was pretty cool. Like, or that helped us.
TK, I would say, this is the thing, because it's changed the way we think. That's probably the totally unexpected part of this. That is the unexpected part. The unexpected part is we think differently. We think in terms of our ICP. We're not chasing, we're just not chasing our tail. But I think culturally we're osmosed into something I never thought we would be, and that has been the unintended outcome of this thing, of what we started with you. I think I've kind of alluded to as well, is like, I thought, you know what, I'll pay my money, take my chances, do this thing. I didn't realize how much it would change me, knowing that in the group, there are other people in the same position, or in a worse position, or a better position. And I think it's that thing of being a software entrepreneur, is that my life is all outbound. And I know, I'm tough enough to manage my own mental health, but it becomes a damn drain. And it makes you think, you can't make good decisions if you're really wondering, like, what is the point of all this? And, and payroll's coming up and you're thinking, oh, you know what, who's paying me? Well, obviously I get paid last, right? And then, you talk to Scott, you talk to Paddy, you talk to Saurabh, and, you kind of feel like, well, these guys are going through the same things. So it's not just me. And it's kind of this, I wouldn't call it a support network, but it is a support group. It is a support group.
It's a camaraderie thing. Like where else are there a bunch of SaaS CEOs working on go-to-market and scaling the company with an operating system? Right?
How many other people are so damaged that they had to start a software business, right? Where do you find these people, right? And that's it. And that's been a really unintended thing. And, it's really helped our customers too, because, when our customers talk to us, they're like really curious. It's like, how do you go to market? Very interesting. So what we do, we have an ICP. So what you guys need to think about is like your ideal investor. Who is your ideal investor?
All right.
And then what are you offering people? What is your manifesto? And they're like, oh yeah, okay. And that's again quite interesting. And that's been quite an unintended consequence of kind of working together. And it's probably the intangibles have actually been more valuable than the tangibles. If I was to honestly turn back, because I did not know how much I would grow as a person, how my relationships would build in the group, how the team would respond to it as well, because the team's growing as well. And you can spend all this money on team building exercise, going bowling or going golfing or stuff like that, but it's never really underpinned by scaling the business, because ultimately that's what people want to do, and they're learning this kind of stuff. And I've said to them, I said, look, the great thing now at ProFundCom is you guys can go and build your own businesses, because you've learned all this stuff, and you can do it in ProFundCom, like, use the ICP model and the go-to-market model to kind of look at different channels for our product. You just got to do it yourself. And again, that's been quite interesting. Is now there's a kind of because in the past, most of the guys I've worked with have worked with entrepreneurs who are as mad as hatters, like I used to be, with no structure, but there's a buzz to it. But the buzz dies when, the business goes bust. And always excuses, we were too early, or we're too ahead of the market. Nobody understood us, right? But actually, no. So now it's almost like they are capitalizing on all that time they spent in an unstructured environment into a really structured environment now, while still keeping that buzz of a, SaaS founder-led. When I say founder-led, I'm being generous to myself, but you know what I mean, a founder-led business where, they're not filling out holiday forms all the time, or there's not a huge demand on HR, but, there's a very, very clear mission, what we're trying to do. The unintended ones, that's a pretty good question. I have to say probably, if I look back in like another 5, 10 years, it would be the intangible ones would be the ones that I would probably remember the most.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the feedback I often get. It's like I joined for sales and marketing, but then I got all this other stuff. And I'm always interested to hear if someone has a different one.
It is.
Paul, I want to be respectful of your time. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. I know a lot of people would get value from experience, especially on like ProKeep history, and then coming in at this stage and seeing your growth. It's been incredible. It's always been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm so proud of like everything you guys are doing. And I'm excited. You're in platinum. You're still stuck with me, so we'll be talking more and more. And I'm excited to see where you guys take it next. For everyone else listening, where's the best way to get in touch with you, and where can they learn more about ProFundCom?
Well, I do a stand-up comedy act on a Monday night at the Wavendon Arms. So you are more than welcome to join. You will probably be the third person in the audience. You're more than welcome to join Wavendon Arms, Milton Keynes. If your comedy delectations take you somewhere else, you can find me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best place to find me, Paul Das. And yeah, that's the best place to get a hold of me. Send me a message. I always, always try my best to reply. And, and then, yeah, I'm happy to spend time with people, chatting them through, what we've been through. I can send people Calendly. How do you pronounce that word? Calendly. Yeah. I mean, and I find that works incredibly well. And, for what it's worth, TK, I've told you, it's very hard for me to respect and listen to a man who says he's 40 but looks 28. But
39.
But your depth of knowledge kind of moves mountains, and it's just been so fortuitous, so lucky. I don't know how our paths have finally crossed, but we wouldn't do what we do without that kind of structure that you give us, and the depth and sincerity of what you provide us. And what really blows me away is whenever we go on these weekly chats and we ask questions, which we send before, you've really, really done all the homework. And that always staggers me. It's not, off the seat of your pants. You've really come up and you've really thought about, the problem we guys are facing, which kind of adds, the kind of credibility that adds, TK, is absolutely, monumental. A lot of what we've done is kind of kudos to probably all the pain you went through and decided, I'm going to document this and I'm going to roll this out to other people. And, it's great. And, look, other SaaS courses are available, right? And, I'll be a liar to say I have dipped my toe in stuff like that. And I feel a bit dirty for saying that. But, it's all one dimensional. It's all landing page. It's all one pricing. And and landing page is a small sliver of what we cover in what we've done together. So yeah, TK, I mean, you're the most genuine guy I know. Keep shining, brother.
Thank you, Paul. You're so kind. Seriously, you made my day. And it's been an honor and a privilege to work together. I always laugh so hard, and I enjoy working together. And you're always such a bright energy. It's so much fun. And I'm excited to see you in London soon enough so we can actually enjoy nice again. Yeah.
And thanks for doing these podcasts. It's fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being on. It's been awesome. I know this is a great episode.
We're going to have a love-in in a minute. So we'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We'll link to Paul's LinkedIn below, and also ProFundCom if you're a hedge fund and you need to raise your assets, and so that way you can get in touch.
And don't forget the comedy night.
Oh, and we'll link to the comedy night.
So now you know how Paul, CEO and founder of ProFundCom, went through his SaaS transformation. There's so much I've learned just from working with Paul. It's been incredible to see how he's transformed the company, especially as a company in the financial services space, in the marketing automation space, going from on-prem to truly in the cloud in this space. It's been amazing to work with him. Now, if you're at this stage where you're looking to grow your SaaS business and accelerate your path to the next stage of growth, and you'd like to deploy some of these principles that we talked about in this episode, that I talk about in this channel, then I invite you to check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of my coaching program, I work with you to actually help you revamp your go-to-market strategy. The way we do this is we first revamp your ideal customer profile. Everyone thinks they have an ICP until they actually work with me, and ICP is one of the biggest sources of drivers for a SaaS business. Then we up-level your messaging by what I call a manifesto. A manifesto is a strategic narrative that really differentiates you in the market. And then lastly, we teach you how to run a Broadway show so you can consistently bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis to drive growth for your SaaS business. It's an incredible program. You saw in this episode just the type of success that Paul has seen. We've been profiling so much of the success from all these other founders that are running SaaS companies that are inside the program. It's an incredible group. So if you want to learn more, just go to tkcater.com/GTM. tkcater.com/GTM. All the details will be there. You can fill out a short form to get on a call with us. We'll review where you are. If we can help, then we're off to the races. We'll get started right away. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button. Put in the comments what kind of value you got. I'm sure Paul would love to hear from you as well, and I would as well. My team just loves it when you smash that like button. So does YouTube. We put a lot of love into these videos. If you have a fellow founder, a fellow team member, if you're part of a Slack group or a WhatsApp group that would get value from this video, please share this with them as well. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you inside the Go-to-Market program and the next episode. Take care.